And if you think about it, women were actually becoming lawyers before they were eligible to vote. So it seems a little weird that before they voted they became lawyers, but that is the case. And since 1899 we've been around. We've been advocating for women's issues since that time. In the past 5 years we have we have been doing a survey of the AmLaw 200, and what that is the American Lawyer has its top 200 law firms in the country listed by rank of number of lawyers and profitability. So these are the ones who are the leaders in the field, and so we've limited our survey to these firms because it's an easy group to quantify. As you can see in our graph, the number of women is that line going down, and the number of men in these particular positions are the blue line going up. And it shouldn't come as a big shock to you that the majority of partners in law firms are men. And you look and see the different categories. Staff attorneys is a relatively new phenomenon in the legal field where if you've been reading the news lately, there's been a recession, and law school graduates have not been getting jobs lately. And so they've created a new class, so to speak, of lawyers who are staff attorneys, which are folks who are hired by law firms at the junior levels and sometimes even in the more senior levels to staff particular things, but they are not on a partnership track. They are not treated like associates. So in the old days, before I graduated from law school, you know, the expectation was you were going to graduate from law school, join a law firm, work your way up through partner, and die at your desk. That does not happen anymore. I have no plans of dying at my desk, by the way. But that was the model. And so you basically, all you had to do was kind of put in your hours and you made partner. Well, over the last 15 years, law firms have become businesses and business-oriented. And so in order to advance in law firms, you must create business. You must bring revenue to the firm. It's all about how much business you've brought. And it's only based on what you've done in the past year, frankly. So every year it gets more and more difficult because even if you've gotten to a certain level, you have to keep performing at that level or beyond to keep going up through the ranks. So as you can see, the number of women, notwithstanding the fact that we've been graduating from law school at about the same rate as men over the past almost 20 years, are not making it into the upper ranks of law firms in the same numbers as men. So here's the sobering statistic. At the associate level, when you come out of law school, everybody seems to get paid about the same. We're not quite there, we're at 98%. And then as you go up through the ranks, at the counsel level, you're earning 88% of what a man in that same position is earning. And at the non-equity level, which is there's a lot of firms that are equity and non-equity. So if you're an equity partner, you actually put capital into the firm and you're an owner of the firm. If you're a non-equity partner, you're basically a salaried employee, although you're called a partner for purposes of advertising your expertise. At the non-equity level, we're at 94%. But when you get to the equity level, which is the hardest level to reach, as you can see, we're at 85%, and that's the largest gap we've had over the past couple of years. So we're actually stepping backwards, unfortunately, as opposed to moving forward. 98% of the firms that we surveyed, and as I said, we surveyed the top 200, we got about 115 responses, which is actually a pretty good response rate. 98% of the firms reported that the highest earning partner was a man. Shocking, I'm sure, to all of you in this room. As part of the corollary to how you get highly compensated is whether or not you, quote unquote, make rain, and that's business generation and business development. Half of the firms did not have any women in the top 10 business generators in that firm. Almost half had none in their top 10. 1/3 of the firms had one. That's 10%. If we're graduating women at 50% in law schools, 10 years later, none of them have made it to the top of their professional ranks. And these results have been consistent from 2009 and 2010. And then the other issue is leadership. So if you have enlightened leadership, if you have leadership in law firms that are paying attention to these types of issues, and role models for younger women and even junior partners, you're gonna be more successful. Unfortunately, in the equity partnership ranks, 15% are women. And that actually, we've vacillated between 17 and 15 as a result of some of the economic downturn, we've actually gone backwards. Women are 73% of fixed income equity partners, which is you basically get to put your capital in, but you're still treated as an employee. And in the highest firm committees, the management committees, the executive committees, of which the median size is about 10, and that's a pretty typical number, there's only 2 women on that committee. And in some firms, there are no women on the committee. So if you're in the executive committee, if you're making the decisions based on who's getting what pay, and there are no women in the room, it's very difficult to get gender equality in terms of pay.